Okay, let's take a quick look at this box shadow assignment. It's CSS number 3. On Google Classroom, you have these resources linked up for you. There's a help page. I want to show you one thing on the help page. If you scroll it down, it tells you right here on today's assignment, it is required that you add a box shadow. I'm going to show you how. You add a box shadow to the ordered list, the unordered list, an image, and the images, and the H3 heading. Have to all have a shadow. That's how you get your points for today. And the box shadows can be configured differently, and I'm going to show you how to do it. All right, so I'm going to go back here to Classroom. There is a screenshot of some code that kind of shows you how to do this if you need that screenshot to look at. If you need something to look at while you're working on the assignment, the screenshot could be helpful, so there's that as well. And there is a link to some code. So when you click the link to the code, you're going to need to go view code, and you're going to need to remix the code as well. I got to sign in real quick here on code.org because I haven't done that yet today. And there we go. All right, so on the HTML side, it's about Olympic sports, and there's a little bit of information about speed skating with some events and some skaters. And there's curling with some events and some athletes that are curling athletes. And then there's some snowboarding information with some events and some athletes that are involved in snowboarding. And they have all the, there's ordered lists and there's unordered lists and there's headings and there are some images. Over here on the style.css, if you look at the style.css page, there's a little bit of information here about the body of the document, and paragraphs have a rule already. I don't think there's even any paragraphs on this page. And then H1s have a rule as well. But here's what we're going to do, right? Let's go to work on this. We'll just start with an ordered list. What you have to do today is you have to add box shadows. I'm going to show you how. I'll begin with OL, ordered list, and I'm going to, and I might just make that text a little bit bigger, and I'm going to put a curly bracket there, and I'll split that curly bracket. All right. So let's just start with what we have to do. Here's how you do a box shadow. You go box dash shadow. Code.org will kind of auto-complete for you, so you can see it right there as you type it. And then here you're going to have to feed it some numbers and some information, and here's how it works. What we're going to do is what's called the X offset, the Y offset, the blur, and the color. Now the X and Y offset have to do with which way the shadow falls and how far. Like if I go, I'm going to say 10px, and that's for the X offset. I'll hit the space bar. I'll go another 10px, and that's for the Y offset. And you can begin to see it happen over there on the right hand side. There is a shadow happening over there with the ordered list. And then I'm going to go, this is blur, this one is blur, so I'll go 20px on that one. That one's also measured in pixels. And the thing that you see there is it gets a little like fuzzy around the edge. And then the last thing is color. I'm just going to keep it black right now, but you can make it any color you want, red, blue, green, or you could click on the color word and use the color picker to choose a color for the shadow. So now if you'll look over at the ordered list, you see a box shadow happening, right? It's pushed over to the right 10 pixels. That's what this is. It's pushed to the right by 10 pixels. It's pushed down by 10 pixels. It has a 20 pixel blur on it. That's what made it kind of fuzzy and soft around the edge. And then the color is black. So that's what all those are working on there. The X offset, the Y offset, the blur, and then the color. Now you could also certainly come along here, and this might look a little bit better if we added border dash style, and I'm going to put a solid border around there. And I think now if you'll look over at that list, you'll see now, maybe that does help it a little bit to have a border on it as well. So now it has a border and a shadow, and I think that does look, to me, slightly better. All right. So, and you could add other style things to it. I could come along here and say background, and maybe we go light green. There, I put a background on my ordered list. Right? So you could do other things to your HTML elements if you want to. That's up to you. Okay. Let's do the unordered list real quick. UL, curly bracket. And you have to have a box dash shadow. And again, make it go whatever. Let's try some negative numbers. What do you think would happen if I could do negative numbers? What if I go minus 20px, minus 10px, 30px? All right, so if you'll look, what's happening now, the shadow is being pushed to the left instead of to the right. That's what that first, I'll go ahead and put the color on here. Black, bulk, black. All right. So instead of being pushed to the right, it's being pushed to the left. That's what the minus 20 does. It doesn't push it to the shadow's not falling to the right of the list. It's falling to the left of the list. On the minus 10px, instead of being pushed down below the box, it's kind of like a box. Instead of being pushed down below the box, it's being pushed up above the box. The 30px is the amount of blur, so it's fuzzy, blurry. And then the black, of course, is the color. So negative numbers do make a difference on the X and the Y. Negative numbers won't make any difference on the blur, I don't think. Yeah, look, I've got a box shadow on that. And, you know, like I said, you can come along here and add any other stuff that you want. If you want to put a border style on it or a background color on it or whatever. So there, look, I've got shadows on my ordered list and my unordered list. Now, not quite done with it yet, right? The other things that have to happen here, you have to have a box shadow on your H3s. Box dash shadow. I'm going to do this super fast. I'll just go 10px, 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 and black, semicolon. All right, and then I do like putting a border on. I'm sorry if it takes a second, but I like having a border. And I'm just going to do it solid. And again, if you'll look where it says speed skating events, USA speed skating athletes, and if you go on down, you'll notice all of the elements are getting these things that are happening here. And really, I'm going to just to make this look better, I'm going to change these negatives to positives because I wanted to show you what it does, but I think it looks a lot better if you don't mix them up quite so much. All right, so the only thing left that I would have to do now is IMG, right? You have to have a box shadow on your image as well. So IMG, curly bracket, let me roll that up so we see it better. Here, I'm going to try to raise it up some. There we go. Okay, and we're going to go box dash shadow. And I'll just kind of stick with my 10px, 10px, 10px. And we'll just stick with black. But you could, maybe the shadows could be whatever color you want. And again, if you'll look at the image now, and if you look at all the images have a shadow falling down underneath them. That's what this whole lesson is about. Can you take items and can you give them a shadow? And that's what I showed you how to do it here. Box dash shadow. X offset, Y offset, blur, color. That's how it works. So to get your points on this assignment, this is what you have to do. You have to add box shadows to the ordered list, the unordered list, the H3s, and the images. Whabam! Your turn.